Hey everyone, I'm back with another little video here. Just making this video here. I recently this might be a little bit of a rant now. You probably all know the film, the Blair Witch Project from 1999. I like the film. A lot of people like the film. Some people don't like the film, but I mean overall I like it because it's like very. I thought it was very unique. And for its time, I think especially, I mean, this was 1999, which was 20 years ago. So this was before the internet got big, before social media, obviously. And people honestly thought it was real, which I find a little hard to believe, but it was kind of, I guess, to a degree believable back then, and that was like one of like the first found footage movies out there. I mean, of course you had films like from 1980 Cannibal Holocaust. The year before that 98 you had The Last Broadcast. But this one really like launched, I guess, I don't know if it's a good thing or not, but it kind of launched the found footage craze. But I mean, I like it because it's so unique and it really feels like real. But I know some people don't think it feels real. Obviously, everyone knows by now it's not real at all. But it feels real though. I'm gonna explain it like the way they act in the film. Heather, Mike, and Josh, like they said a lot of some of the stuff was improv. They said some of their stuff was the real reactions to stuff. I mean, I know they knew they were making a movie, but still, I mean, it just felt real for some reason. And they don't show anything. I mean, they show the stick figures, the famous scene, but they don't show a witch. They don't show any monsters. They don't show anything like really like paranormal stuff. Like they show the rocks, obviously, and other stuff, but they don't show like anything that makes you think, oh yeah, this is just another Hollywood film. And well, that's where I'm gonna get at right now. This 2016 sequel. Well, before I get to that, also the 2000 sequel, Book of Shadows. I kind of do like it. I know it gets a lot of hate and criticism for not being good. I mean, some people don't like it because it's not the documentary style the original was. I didn't mind it that much. And I thought the story was a little weird. I mean, I liked how it was kind of like meta in a way, like it took a movie within a movie. Like it takes place like in the universe like of the craze of the original film. Something like that, I'm trying to say. But I thought it was kind of cool, I guess, in a way. I mean, yeah, some of the scenes were a little weird, and some of the stuff was a little confusing. But overall, I didn't mind it that much. Yeah, some of the acting wasn't the best, but I didn't hate it, unlike this 2016 film that I saw a little bit ago. And this was just not good. It was far worse than Book of Shadows. It 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 doesn't even like do any. I agree with some people. Reviews say it's basically just a rehash of the original film with newer technology and different more characters that aren't even good. I mean, the characters in this film are just so they're overly cliched. They're not interesting. You don't really care about any of them, and the scenes are predictable. Unlike in the original, when you didn't actually know like what was gonna happen. I mean, I don't know about the ending, but I mean that was new, so you didn't really know. But nowadays, it's so like overdone, and I'll get to. Oh, I'm just gonna say. Well, here's the thing. I mean, even from the get go, the film starts out like they they do the same thing as the original. Like they say, these kids went missing. Their footage was found, just like the original. Um, they even the plot is so it's so absurd. The plot. I mean, the original the plot was they were filming a documentary about a witch. This one, the brother of Heather in the original, which is stupid anyway, because the original she never mentions having a brother at all. Now he's all of a sudden in the film. I'm like, even when she makes that famous apology scene, she never mentions her brother. She just says mom, dad, and I think a couple other people. I have to watch it again, but It doesn't. There's no mention at all of her having a brother, which was weird. And the whole plot in this film, it's because James, which is the brother, he he sees this grainy video on YouTube, sees this girl in the video, thinks it's Heather. I'm like, you see like 2 seconds of a blurry person, and you think that's Heather. I'm like watching the clip. I'm like, it's not even. You can't even see anything. It's so like hard to see anything in it. I'm like, you're basing your assumption on this 2 second video that you can't even get a good look at, and then there's like the part, and the fact that he honestly thinks that she's still alive after like what, almost 20 years later. I'm like, dude, how would she still be alive at this point? And how would she even still have a camera working 20 years later? It's just so stupid. And in this film, they filmed such stupid stuff. I mean, the original made sense because they were doing a documentary. This one, they filmed like themselves playing video games. They filmed themselves in a club. They filmed themselves doing all this random stuff, and I'm like, what's the point of you filming this stuff? And then they try to have the reason, well, they have ear cams and other stuff on them to record stuff, but that just makes it worse because when they run, it's like all like this every time. And why? And that's the other thing. Why do you need all these cameras? If you're just trying to find your sister, like, what's the point? What's the point of you bringing all these cameras with you and all these people with you? And then and even the one part, and they cross the river just like the original, counter a couple people like the original. When they go on the road trip, they film the sign just like the original. I'm going to say what's the original to comparisons right now. They film the sign. When they leave the car, they film the car like the original. Scary stuff starts happening. The rocks, you see the rocks. You see the stick figures. They go to the house. The film ends. Some stuff happens. The film ends. I'm like, wow, I basically almost saw the same thing as the original. It's nothing new. They don't do any, and then they show like there's a scene also when they're crossing the river, and this is so stupid. This girl crosses the river, and they take their shoes off. I'm like, why would you take your shoes off? Whatever, I've gone in the river. I always run my shoes so I don't step on anything like what happens here. She gets her foot cut. I'm like, why would you take your shoes off? You don't bring boots or shoes. She gets this bad cut, and that should have been right there. Why they even continued hiking at that point? Like and they tried to wrap it up, I'm like, why wouldn't you just get medical attention? Why wouldn't you just go home, bandage it up? Like, why would you still go on the trip if you know you have this bad cut in the woods? Why would you still go in the woods knowing you have this bad cut? You know, knowing it could get infected and all, which kind of does happen. But I mean, like, I wouldn't go if I got this bad cut on my foot. I'm not gonna keep going hiking. It's like, and then later on they have a drone. It goes up. The only thing it's good for was they have this moment when they say, "I don't see our road anywhere," and I guess that was supposed to be like something happened with the forest or something. But and then the drone crashes in a tree, and she literally climbs up the tree with a bad foot. I'm like, why would you do that? And you know what's gonna happen. I'm gonna spoil it right now because she falls and that's it. And I'm like, what was that? They had like this foot. They have like this little thing come out of it, like a stick little figure out of it, but it doesn't really go anywhere. But overall, it was just stupid that she would climb this tree with a bad foot. That she even continued going hiking with a bad foot instead of turning around saying, "You guys go ahead. I'm out of this," which was real stupid. So they're in the woods, and these two characters that they don't even know well, they think they know the woods well, which they don't, I guess. So they go in the woods, but that's the other thing in this film. You know how the original film had like like the woods were filmed like in winter or late fall, winter, so there wasn't any leaves on the trees, and that I think gave it a creepier appearance. This film, the leaves are all on the trees. It looked like it was filmed in the late spring or summer. And it's not as scary. Like the forest, it doesn't look as scary with the leaves on the trees already. But and it's not. Here's the other problem though: is the film's not subtle like the original was. The original had like that subtle eeriness to it. The fact that you don't see anything, but you just have like that sense of dread. In this one, they got lost and it's like they kept like they could never get out the forest. Like they go to the same log, they say, "Oh my God, that's the same log we started from at the beginning." And you never explains why. Like, is there something right with the forest, supernatural, or are they just lost in the woods because they didn't know how big the woods are? But in this one, they have a GPS now. They keep walking out, but they end up right at the same camp spot. So it's pretty obvious that something's messing with them. And then these other two, they go out in the woods. They come back. 5 days. They say we haven't seen you guys in 5 days, and they were like, you just left. You just left today. But I'm like, how are they still alive for 5 days? I'm like, how did they survive for food and water? And then they wake up one morning. It's the rocks are out like the original. Like, wow, how original. Next time they wake up, but it's still pitch black out. And they say like, "Oh, we haven't seen you in 5 days." I'm like, if it's been pitch black, how do you know it's been without anything on? I'm like, how do you know it's been 5 days? Well, and how are they still alive? Like, how are you surviving without food and water? I mean, it's kind of like plot hole, definitely. And then they have scene when they have the stick figures, and the kid says, "Oh, I did it just to scare you off because it's real," which was pretty stupid. And then the other night they appear again. He says, "Oh, I didn't put them out." And then they break one, and apparently they're voodoo dolls or something, which was kind of an interesting plot. But the way it's done, it's so like shaky that you can't even see like what really went. A lot of times in this film, when they show stuff, like the camera's so shaky, they don't even know how to hold the camera. I mean, I guess because they're on them already, but they you don't even see you don't even get a good look at like what's going on half the time. And so, and then this one guy, he walks out in the middle of the forest, and a tree falls on. I'm like, why would you go out alone in the forest when you know there's something creepy going on? Not the brightest. And then they keep going. The one kid went missing. The main two, I mean, they go to this house, like the original house. Doesn't even look like the original. I mean, the original house was demolished because it was old and decrepit, and they said and it was vandalized, apparently, or they didn't want people going in it anymore. So it was demolished. This house doesn't even look like the original did. And then he sees the character James. He sees this. He sees what he looks like this woman in the window. And he says, "Oh, that's gotta be Heather." And I'm thinking, dude, there's no way that can be Heather still. And you see like this camera the person's holding or something. I'm like, dude, how would 20 years later, how would she how would her camera still be working at this point? And even Lisa says, "I don't know what happened, James, but that isn't her." And he's like, "No, this is what I came here for." It's like, dude, you should know there's no way. How dumb are you thinking that your sister would be alive after 20 years in the forest? They never found her or the others. It's like, how would she still be alive in the woods? And that's a thing in this film. And then she goes in. He sees like I guess the thing they're getting at is he runs through the hallway. The house is a lot bigger inside than outside, apparently, because he's running through all these doors that aren't going anywhere. He sees this girl walk through. He thinks it's Heather, but I don't know if it was supposed to be or not. And then you see like a ghost, and then she disappears quick. She's like a ghost. I'm like, well, there goes the subtlety. And then she goes in the house. Lane attacks her because he says you must do what she tells you. I guess the witch puts her under the in this hatch under in the basement. She gets out and then she like films herself throwing this camera, filming her. I'm like, why were you doing that? There's no point. And then the flashlight or something, I guess. But she kills him because he attacks her. She stabs her. No, she stabs him, kills him. And then she sees this humanoid thing. Apparently, I think it's the witch. Apparently, because they say earlier that the witch was stretched. All her limbs were stretched and torture racked her, basically. So I'm thinking that has to be her. But it looks so stupid. I mean, it doesn't look scary at all. It looks like really cheap looking. So then they find James. They go up into the attic. They see this light outside. I'm like, what's the point of that? I mean, I thought they were going to show like it was someone said I thought they'd do a trick like they think it's daylight again. So they will go outside and the witch will kill them, tricking them. But no, the light appears for a few seconds and disappears. And then James says, "Oh, don't look at her, she'll kill you." But I'm thinking, where did that come from? I was never said in the original that if you looked at the witch, she'd kill you. There's even a couple scenes that she does. Lisa looks at the thing and nothing happens. So they're looking in the corner. Apparently, he thinks he hears Heather. You don't even hear a voice at all. He says, "Heather, is that you?" I'm thinking common sense should tell you there's no way that can be her. Of course it's not her. She's probably dead. And the girl has a mirror viewfinder that she looks through. But no, he turns around and you see him like fly back and apparently he gets killed. You don't even know what happened. That's the thing, when they show what happened, you're just left with more questions. Like the original, they don't show what happened to anyone. This one, the way they film it, you're just like, what just happened? So then the time thing, and then she's looking at the viewfinder, and then she's walking, and she even says, if you don't look at it, you'll be fine. So then she's walking, and this is so stupid. I mean, that's the thing. This just proves the point. The characters of this film are so stupid that you don't even care what happens to any of them. They're not interesting. They make the dumbest choices. Not the original, they made some questionable choices, but it kind of made sense given their status. In this one, they just make dumb decisions for plot convenience. So then she's walking, and you're thinking, okay, so she saw this guy get tricked. Apparently she knows that the witch used the Heather's voice to trick him. So that she should know, like, oh, this thing can imitate voices. But she's walking, and she's walking. She sees the thing behind her, runs back out. So then she hears the voice of the guy, James, calling to her. But she looks in the viewfinder, there's nothing behind her. So how could it be hidden? You look at the viewfinder, there's nothing there. And she has the thing to check with, like, she could look behind her with the viewfinder, say, like, oh, is that you? And she should be like, there's no way she should have been like, that can't be him. He's dead. I just saw the witch kill him. How could he be alive? I just saw him get killed. But no, she says, James. And then boom, she gets killed. The camera falls to the ground. Just like in the original. The film ends. I'm like, wow. That sucked. I mean, the original made sense because it was like the mystery of like, you don't know like what happened at the end there. But this one, I'm like, how could you be so stupid? You saw this guy die. You have the view, and then even earlier scene, the guy sees, he thinks Peter, one of the other guys that got killed, sees him stand it, and he thinks that's him, but then he disappears, so it was an illusion, I guess. So someone said if the witch should have put like Peter or James in the viewfinder to make it look like that he was there, so then it would have made more sense why she looked, thinking that, oh, he's there. but he wasn't. It would have made more sense that way. And even the credits, and then the director said that later on after it was released, saying, "Oh, that creature you saw wasn't the witch." What else could it have been? No. I'm thinking because everyone else also said the fact that they showed the witch was not good and it sucked. It was stupid. You don't need to see it. And it was better when you didn't show it and you didn't know what it looked like. I think he only said this. He just said it wasn't because he got a lot of criticism. It didn't get the reception he wanted. So he just tried to backpedal, saying, "No, that's not the witch." But it's like, there's nothing else that would have. The title of the film's Blair Witch. So what else could it have been? And then earlier in the commentary, before the girl falls out, this hand grabs her. And they try and say in the commentary, "Oh, that was Lane." But in the credits, and then they say the other thing, the creature you saw at the end wasn't the witch. The credits, it says Blair Witch stunt double, Blair Witch arm double. The credits themselves say it was the witch. And even if they said, someone also said that the model of the witch looks exactly like the one from Skyrim. The witches in Skyrim, I think. If that's the right name or something. Correct me if I'm wrong, but he says it's like they copied the model from Skyrim into this film. So tell me that's not the witch then. You know? I mean, he only I think he only said it because he got a lot of criticism, flack, and hate for showing it, and it didn't get good, and it didn't get the reception he hoped. So he just tried to say, "No, that wasn't the witch." The credits themselves say it was. But also overall, this film, and it's not subtle. Like, and there's so many jumps. Oh, if you didn't even touch on that, I almost forgot. They overdo the jump scares so much in this film, and a lot of them are even false. Like they go like ah, like they scare each other for no reason at all. They have these false jump scares, and even someone, and then they overdo. I mean, I don't like jump scares much, but when they overdo it so much, it's not scary anymore. But and there's even the others, and then they even have like what was it? They have loud noises a lot in the film. And hardly even didn't use any jump scares. It didn't use overly loud noises. You see like tents flying up in the air in this one. You hear like all these loud, real like close to the camera noises. I'm like, it just gives the impression that it's all false, which it is false, obviously, but it feels less real that way. It really does. It feels very scripted, and the way they act in the film, it's so scripted. The way they act, you can tell they're reading a script. Original didn't have that feeling, which made it work. You didn't feel like they were just reading off a script. And then there was like the I'm trying to think what else there was. But overall, the plot is stupid. The acting is bad. They overact so much that it takes away from the realness. They have too many jump scares. They show the witch, which was a huge, huge mistake to do. The ending was stupid. I mean, they couldn't think of any other ending. They found footage from them. They all end the same way, almost all of them do. A couple of them end differently, I think. Above, so below or something. But overall, it just doesn't work. It's as if they tried to have like the same, like lightning in a bottle the first film had. But it's not going to work in this day and age. There's been so many found footage films, it's not unique anymore. It's not going to work in this day and age. A Blair Witch film. And the original worked also because they didn't have social media. Nobody used the internet much, and people honestly thought it was real because they didn't have that internet or social media. And of course, it came out soon after it was all fake, the movie was. But now, all these years later, everybody knows it's fake. So they're like, why are you doing a sequel? You're not going to get the same hype. It's not going to have the same hype or publicity or lightning in a bottle the original had. It's been overdone. It's been done time and time again. It didn't even make as much money. The first one had a $60 million budget, made over $200 million. The second one didn't do well, obviously, made $30 million. But this one didn't even make that. It made $50 million, I think. off or something, a 5 million budget, which is way too much even for this film. You're like, where did that budget go? But yeah, the fact that it also made nowhere near as much money, there wasn't any hype for it. Nobody was excited for it, really. You're not, like I said, the first one was lightning in a bottle, and you're not going to get that again when it comes to that type of movie. It's just not, it's not going to work in this day and age. So, yeah, overall, the film sucks. It's a waste of time. Watch Book of Shadows, even. It has problems, but it's way better than this film. I mean, at least it tried something different. This one didn't at all. I mean, like, yeah, they had a few additions, but that's it. Overall, the film's not good. So if you want to rent it for a low price, or on TV. I saw on Sci-Fi. But overall, it's just not good, and it was disappointing, I guess, for to a degree. But it's just not good. It just didn't work at all. So catch you guys later. Bye.